Why is climate such a geopolitical issue? Can you connect all the dots for me?
Well, thank you and good morning. Yes, we see climate change as a threat multiplier for instability around the world. As you said in your last segment, it's changing food production. In the Arctic, we have a whole new ocean that's opening up simply because of climate change. I just returned from Oslo from the first ever NATO Arctic gathering, because we now need to understand how to operate in a region that is changing so dramatically, where there is geopolitical tension arising simply because of the warming waters, collapsing permafrost, and rising temperatures at twice the rate of the rest of the planet. This is the critical flashpoint now we see with Russia and China both seeking to expand their opportunities across the region, many others seeking direct investments there. So this is going to be a challenge with global migration occurring. And we see in our own country that the extreme weather events are now requiring our military forces to come to the aid of our first responders on a regular basis as we face hurricanes and flood events and extreme weather around our country and globally as well.
So, Sherri, do we feel like countries, companies, governments, are they ahead of this or behind it? Who are the winners and losers? You can imagine that Russia is all about dealing with shipping routes in the Arctic, that they're on that. But the migration issue has really caught a lot of governments by surprise, and part of why Angela Merkel is having such a hard time with her coalition government. Who's winning, who's losing?
Well, I think we have to be clear-eyed about what the risks are. It is an opportunity to really transform our economies and take advantage of the new technologies that are emerging to help us move to lower carbon energy futures. But yes, the global migration challenge, in part fueled by climate change right now, which will continue to accelerate, is one that our governments really have to cope with. It can be, migration can be, if managed well, can be a healthy thing, but we really need to also figure out how to ensure that we have more climate-friendly agricultural policies, manage our water resources. We have a new global climate report out just today that talks about the increasing risk to our oceans, fresh waters, and our Arctic regions. So,
and the migration issue also stems from climate change, because if you have areas in the world that are too hot and there's no food, that causes political unrest, that causes revolutions in countries, that moves people out of those regions.
Exactly. There are two parts of the world where we're going to see this stress increasingly in coming years. First, it's in the very hot areas of the Middle East and in Asia, where parts of those areas may become uninhabitable on a regular basis. And then it's small island states where rising sea levels are going to push people to have to move out of their ancestral homes, move to higher ground in the Pacific Islands, potentially parts of the Caribbean. That's why we have so many people around the world today recognizing this as the greatest global challenge of our era.
So put your hat on as Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for a second. If you were still in that role, what would be your #1 recommendation?
Well, my #1 recommendation would be to incorporate this into every aspect of defense planning, policy, and programming, so that we are clear-eyed about what risks we face, the unprecedented risks, but also the unprecedented opportunities to seize the technology advantages to move to lower carbon energy futures, and at the same time to take advantage of predictive analytics that will help us better understand these risks, where they're occurring, and be able to address them on a closer real-time basis.
Quick last question then. Is there a price tag that you can put on all of this?
Well, we see the price tag occurring already today in the billions of dollars that's affecting just our military infrastructure as one small piece of this every year. We have estimates of over $5 billion just to repair 2 military bases that suffered heavily in the storms of last year, Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida and Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina took serious damage in the hurricanes of last year. And that's just 2 bases. But wow. we see the costs mounting daily. We should take those costs and convert them to positive climate resilient infrastructure and opportunities for our future.